Hats off, please. Hats off.
Hats off when you're in the building. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your first official sexual violence, sexual assault prevention training. So not only are you here for the next hour to learn and to listen from survivors of sexual violence and sexual assault, you're also going to get an education piece, and you also are going to be fulfilling an NCAA requirement by being here today. So if any and all of you, which I hope you do, want to make it to NCAA championships in your sport, this is required. This will be an every year thing as long as you attend an NCAA institution. For those of you who forgot, my name is Melanie Wilson. I'm your Assistant Athletic Director for Compliance. We are here with a wonderful group from Love Speaks Out today to talk to you about sexual violence and sexual assault training. We do know that this topic may be triggering. If you are uncomfortable at any point in time throughout this presentation, you can find me in the front office and we will find a way to make sure that you are engaged and participating. If you have any questions, these wonderful people up front and our survivor table over here to my right will be happy to answer any questions with you. You will be in here from now until about 4 o'clock. Once you are finished, you will exit out of the training room side of the gym, because we are bringing sophomore, juniors, and seniors in through these doors here. So you are going to exit weight room, training room side once your 4 o'clock mark hits, and enjoy the next hour.
All right, so he's just gonna make sure that doesn't fall asleep. But was everyone able to get to the website for using the QR code? We'll bring it back up on the screen. That's how you can participate in some of the polls. As soon as he's finished with that, but we'll go ahead and introduce. So Ivy, you want to introduce yourself?
With these microphones, be talking with Alex, and we're going to go over everything Melanie already mentioned, talking about healthy and unhealthy relationships, sexual assault, and you're able to answer on your phones. All the responses are anonymous. We do have some prizes that we'll give out and things like that, and we also have a panel of speakers over here. So about halfway through when we're done presenting, we're going to give it over, and we're going to be able to ask the panelists, which are survivors of domestic violence, some questions. And as we get started, we're going to start with our first question, which you should be able to answer on your phones.
All right, so the first question, let's say you start dating someone and they leave their phone out. Would you be tempted to, just look through their phone, make sure they're not talking to other people? We want you to vote A, yes, you gotta make sure they aren't cheating. B, yes, but maybe only the first couple months. C, only after you're official. Or D, never, you're not checking their phone. All right, looks like people are voting for A. 40 people. Yes, you got it. Can you clap up for A? All right, 41. All right, that's enough votes. So it looks like most of y'all saying, yeah, you gotta make sure somebody's not cheating, so you wouldn't mind going through their phone. We have 23 people said yes, you check their phone, but maybe only after you're officially a couple. And then D, 29 people never, I'm not checking their phone. So I'd like to get a couple opinions. If you chose A, would you like to share why you chose A? Just raise your hand and I'll pass you the microphone. Who'd like to share? Yeah, it's okay to go through to make sure they're not cheating. Anyone? All right. Who's the team captain that wants to share for this one? All right, how about if you chose any choice? What do you think? Okay, ready?
I'm putting never checking their phone because I feel like that's like I'm gonna be either like your father or something, you know. Like I feel like that's like invasion of privacy almost.
Yeah, nice. Good answer. So you don't want to be like their father, like going through their phone, like, okay, gotcha. Okay, what do you think?
Yeah, I said never because I just rather be happy after I see something. So I'm just not checking. Because if they are cheating, I'd rather not find out that way. I don't know.
I would want to know if they're cheating. All right, who else? Oh yeah, we'll give you a prize if you'd like to share. All right, what about the ladies? What do you think? All right, yeah.
So personally, I feel like if God is telling you to look for that phone, you look for that phone.
If God's telling you to look for that phone, look for that phone. All right. All right. Anyone else? Over here. What do you think? All right. Okay. All right. So if we could go to the next question. Just push the right arrow here. I have one more question about phones for you to vote on. So not you going through their phone, but what about if they want to go through your phone? Are you okay with that? You can vote A. Yes, I'm going to go down with my phone. Look, I'm not cheating. I got nothing to hide. You can go through my phone. Or B, I'll give them my phone, but I want to know why they want to go through it, and we're going to have a conversation about that. C, I would not give up my phone. We're going to talk about expectations around trust. So it looks like people are going with, hey, I got nothing to hide. You go through my phone, I'm not cheating. Anyone want to share about this one? Okay, I haven't heard from you up here.
Okay, and why would I not give my phone like that? Like, why would I give my phone behind them? Like, I'm not cheating, so what's the point?
Yeah, so you got nothing to hide. Why wouldn't I give them my phone? Anyone else? Yeah.
I'm just not giving up my phone. It's just like, I just don't feel like, yeah, something like that. Just like, it's not really my phone.
Do you feel that she should trust you that she shouldn't have to go to your phone? Okay. All right. Anyone else have an opinion about this one? Okay, yeah, right here.
You can take my phone. I really don't care. It was yours today. I don't care.
Would it matter? All right. Would it matter to you if the reason they want to go through your phone is because they want to go through your messages and DMs to make sure you're not talking to other people? Even reading like your group chats, just making sure, like, is all that okay?
I mean, if they really want to, then I don't care. But just know there's some weird things in the chat. So watch what you look at.
All right. So would anyone be, wouldn't they be upset though if the reason they are going through your phone is that they don't trust you?
So I don't care if anyone goes through my phone. There's no group chats. That's it.
All right. So we're gonna go to the panel later. Y'all can weigh in on this later. But so just keep this in mind. But all right. So we just want you to start thinking about these because the reason they want to go through your phone is probably what? They don't, because they don't trust you. So even though I would also give them my phone because otherwise they would just be like, well, now you're definitely hiding something. But I would still want to have a conversation about trust.
All right, so our next question is, in a relationship, how soon should someone respond to your text messages? What do you think? I see very few A's, a lot of C's. What are some opinions? All right. My legs are not working out, so it's going to take me a second to get up these bleachers.
I said C just because people are busy. Whenever you get to it.
Alright, and Alex should be. Alright, now I'll kind of revise it. How would you feel if someone just blew up your phone every time you did a text message? What else is fun?
Block.
You block your partner, someone you're dating. Someone you're dating, if you just block them. Yeah? Then they're going to be in that. Do you not disturb? Alright, what are some other thoughts? Do you think you should have to text back immediately?
Yeah, I chose B because, if I'm talking to you and you're half swiping it and kind of trying to be celebrity, it's just like, I think I get the nick over that. I wouldn't be dating anymore.
If you saw that post online and they didn't respond to you, alright, yeah, that's fair. I would want them to respond to your post online.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Alright, so it seems like most of you are in a healthy mindset. Now, would you get mad at someone if they just constantly just kept not listening to that boundary and they just kept texting you anyway? What if they started saying things, oh, you don't trust me? You've got to text me constantly. Oh, you care about other people more than me. Okay, no, I would not. So we wouldn't like that very much. So we're going to go to the next question, which ties in. So is jealousy okay? What are our thoughts? Alright, so Bob, you're saying a little bit. Alright, does anyone have an idea of what jealousy actually is? What is jealousy? Who wants to take a guess? Okay. Yes, if you don't want people to talk to them, that can be a great example. Can you talk about that? Alright, so it might show that they care about you, right? So, does anyone have an example of when jealousy is just too much? What's an example of too much jealousy when it just crosses the line? Yeah, so overreaction. They get mad when someone compliments you or talks to you. What's another example? Was that a hand for that? No? Yeah. Okay, so what if it's just a stranger saying, oh, you look nice today? And they just walk away. You think it's weird? I don't think it's a compliment. I love when people tell me I look nice. Okay, so it might be how they say it. Maybe it seems like they're flirting, and then it would be weird. Okay, so maybe how you deliver it.
Alright, so what about if someone is flirting with your partner or they're DMing your partner, whose job is it Is it your job to step in, or is it your partner's job to stop that? Your partner, why? Your partner, if your partner has good boundaries, they should shut down that flirting, right? So you have to trust your partner to do that. Sometimes, if you are the one that's constantly jumping in, that can make you look like the one that's insecure or extremely jealous. But if your partner respects, what's that? So yeah, if your partner is like, all right, I think I got it. All right. All right, how would you describe dating abuse? You can type in a word of what you think an abusive relationship is. And the words with the most written down words will appear largely. All right, so most people are running manipulation, gaslighting. Well, that is hard to look at. Toxic. Yeah, that's good. Controlling. Yeah, really good. Isolation. Yeah, really good words. Don't look at that too long, it'll make it busy. But yes, so let's go to the next slide. So yes, the actual definition of an abusive relationship is someone being extremely controlling. So it is not just physical abuse. There's verbal, emotional, sexual, digital, financial. So with emotional abuse, that would include the gaslighting, manipulation. Someone's trying to isolate you from your friends. They don't like it when you hang out with your friends. They're constantly accusing you of things, accusing you of flirting or cheating. That's a big one also. Sexual abuse, anything without your consent. Rape, sexual assault, coercion. Coercion is when they're pressuring you unfairly. So if they said, well, if you really loved me, you would have sex with me. Or if you decide not to, but you don't love me anymore, just, just you're allowed to say no even if you're in a relationship. Digital abuse, this is when they're constantly going on your phone, constantly going through your phone, questioning why you're friends with this person, why do you have to be with this person, why did you like this person's photo, like they're just overly controlling about and constantly going on your phone, calling you, wanting to know where you are at all times. Even if you tell them where you are, they're probably going to blow your phone anyways. Financial abuse, this is when someone is being controlling about the money. It's harder to keep someone if you don't have financial independence of your own, so that could be a reason why someone doesn't break up with someone. Someone's trying to use money against someone, making it harder to leave that relationship. So the actual definition is a pattern of power and control. We can go to the next slide. Sexual abuse, non-consensual contact. 25.9% of women, 9.7% of men have experienced non-consensual sexual contact. Harassing behavior, 41.8%. Utilized counseling, 46.8%. And stalking, 32.9% have been stalked by a previous partner, 31.1% by someone they recognize, 25% by a friend. Okay, can consent be revoked halfway through sex? You can vote A, no. If they said yes, they have to go through with it. B, yes, consent must be revoked at any time. Or C, depends on the state. All right. So the answer, of course, is B, legally. So actually, this is a relatively new law. North Carolina was one of the last states to make it illegal. So in the past, I don't know what year, but in the past, it was legal to keep going if they had already consented. In the past, it was legal to continue. But morally, I would say not. But Now it is actually against the law if someone does revoke consent in the middle of sex, that is, and you keep going, that is considered rape. Alright? You and your partner have been dating a little while, you feel you're ready to take it further. A, since you've been dating a little while, they should know it's time. B, you feel that they owe it to you. C, you thank them for being honest. D, you tell them that if they really loved you, they would have sex. And of course, the answer is C. You respect their decision. Alright, let's go to the next one. You are in a serious dating relationship. They fall asleep. Since you have been serious and know each other, you don't think they'll mind. Should you continue? A, be okay. B, they agreed earlier, it's okay. C, they're passed out, cannot consent, but do not, nothing, let them sleep. It should be pretty obvious. Yes, the answer is C. If someone cannot consent, they cannot consent. Alright. So, I'll do this slide and then pass it back to Ivy. There is a revenge porn law. So, wait, raise your hand if you're 18 or a little older. Everyone 18? Okay. So yeah, so this does apply to all ages, including if you're under 18. But if you break up with someone and they share your nude photo, that can be charged under this law. It's specific to North Carolina. Most states do have a similar law, but because this was happening a lot, someone would break up and they would get their photo exposed. North Carolina did make a law that it could be charged. So just be very careful if you do decide to send nude photos to each other. I mean, a lot of couples do. Just be very careful. The other thing to consider is the controlling partner could use that against you and be like, well, if you don't stay with me, I'm going to share this photo of you. So someone really controlling could use that photo against you. Okay, I don't think we have time for this, so we're going to go through it real fast. Someone says you're dating, your outfit is to revealing shit where that is controlling behavior. Let's go to the next one. Someone you're dating says they will kill themselves if you break up with them. So this is also controlling behavior. And this is really common, so it is actually okay to call the police in this situation. Just want you to be aware. Someone, at least in Mecklenburg County, there is mobile crisis that can send an ambulance out. Alright, let's go to the next one. You make a move to the door, they block the door, so they want to finish the conversation now. And talk it out. This one, if they don't let you leave, that's actually a misdemeanor kidnapping in North Carolina. So, if you want to call the police and they take your phone, that's also a crime. That is preventing someone from using emergency services. That's also a crime. So, if you take their phones and they can't call the police, that's a crime. So be careful. Your partner ran into such a fire job. This is the last one. This is also, it depends on the reason. And this one could be any of the above. Alright.
Alright, so just now quickly we're going to go over resources before we move to the panel section of this. So on the next slide, we're going to go ahead and see some of your local resources here at Piper University first. So feel free to take a picture if you want to name these resources. You should always have the police number in your phone because that is definitely the quickest way to reach someone immediately. And then you have a couple other numbers on here, the Piper Counseling Center. So definitely really awesome to have that information. And then next, we are just briefly, there is a Greater Charlotte Hope Line. So this is just a number you can call and talk to someone anonymously and get some other awesome resources or just someone to talk to. And then the last one is the National Hotline. So this is one that you can call, get information, advice, talk to someone, get other resources. And again, this one's the national. It's anonymous. You can call them, text them, or just chat online. So we also have resource cards. So if you want any resource cards as you're leaving, we're going to have them available that have these resources among lots of other ones that are relating to this. So definitely, if you want a resource card, we'll have them over there as you're leaving and definitely grab one. questions. Does anyone have any questions about the content before we move on? Alright, awesome. I just want to make sure. So we're going to switch over to the panelist section, and we're going to let each of our panelists introduce themselves. They are all survivors of domestic violence. And then once they introduce themselves, we have some questions that we're going to ask them, and then we'll open it to all of you to be able to ask them some questions as well.
Hello, I'm Alvin Haley. I am a domestic violence survivor as well as an advocate. And the love of my life, I thought did not actually love me like I loved him. So the abuse was horrific. And when we talk, I'll ask you the different types of abuse that we just saw in me, and I'll share with you more.
Hi everybody, my name is Mariel Garibano, so that's I'm here with you guys today. Hopefully we're able to answer any questions you guys have about what comes with unhealthy relationships, patterns that you can see early on so you don't fall into the trap of being or any type of relationship that's toxic, that can come with physical, sexual, or financial abuse.
Hello, my name is Nicole Williams. I am a survivor of 23 years. I was able to get out of my situation after almost losing my life and end up raising 3 sons. I am a member of the Domestic Violence Speakers Bureau, Love Speaks Out. And I look forward to touching bases on some of those answers you guys made.
Hi, my name is Irish Benton. I am a survivor of domestic violence. I'm also an advocate against domestic violence, and I look forward to answering some of your questions, and I also have some feedback that I want to give to you regarding some of your surveys.
All right, so, oh yeah, you go ahead. First question, do you have any thoughts about your opinions about some of those survey questions?
So, as I mentioned, I am a survivor of maybe 18 years. I lived in domestic violence with 2 partners. One of the questions on the survey was regarding if it was okay for someone to go through your phone, and some of you were okay with that. I think that has to be a mutual agreement, okay? I also think that means that you both trust each other. Unfortunately, I dated someone who did not trust me, who constantly, when I was not looking, so if you think 16 years back, we didn't know anything about putting codes on our phones. I know you guys probably have all kinds of codes, but whenever I was away from my phone, whether I was in the shower or in another room, he would just pick up my phone and go through my phone. And as a consequence of that, he would abuse me physically. He would accuse me of texting or calling or chatting with other men, and that was not the case. Some of you, when you were doing the survey, did you see the gaslighting, one of the forms of abuse? That's a form of gaslighting. He literally made me think I was crazy. So I'm looking at my phone going, well, did I call so-and-so? Or maybe they did text me. So this is what we want. The reason that we are here today is that we want you guys to understand that this is something that happens in reality. This is real life. So we really want you guys to take it serious. Any questions you have, we don't want you to be embarrassed. We don't want you to be ashamed, because this is a safe place today. And we are so appreciative that you guys are here. The other question survey was when they asked if someone tells you they're going to kill you, did you think that was healthy? Kill themselves. Surprisingly, I saw a lot of you thought that was healthy. That is absolutely not healthy. If someone tells you that they are contemplating killing themselves or you really need to inform someone that you trust. And Alex had put up the information for you here at Piper University. You need to have those numbers locked in your phone.
Okay, well, I have an issue with the jealousy part. Most of you all said that it was okay to be jealous. That's what I thought at first. Because he was jealous. I thought, oh, it's cute. He likes me. But no, it wasn't cute. Because after he got married, I remember an incident of being in a store, and he was trying on some pants, and it was two servicemen. They were in the store trying to have a debate about the color of the pants. And I was walking away. And they said, excuse me, ma'am, you know, does this match this? Does this match that? And I'm looking at them, and I'm already like, don't even ask me. And so I told them, as soon as he came out, he went off the chain. He said, don't talk to my wife, talk to somebody else's wife. By the time we got in the car, he was already leaving. Jealousy is not okay. You know, we all think it's cute, but jealousy has some type of insecurity. Because as I found out in a relationship, if you love someone, they shouldn't be jealous. If you look good, when you meet someone and you're dressed up and you look good, and that's how they were attracted to you by, and when you're in that relationship and you start to keep looking the same way that they met you, and they start telling you to change your outfit and clothes and everything about you, that is not cool.
Definitely a great point. Can everybody hear me? Yes, okay. For me, the beginning was, I'd be at school, I was in university, my first dating relationship, and when I came out of classes, he was very adamant that I came at a certain time. In my turn, I would call it clocking, just constantly clocking me. That's not okay either. That's not love. To just constantly be on somebody to whom we can't really move or function or be free. Nobody should have that type of control over you. And as you were saying, I believe that when you enter a relationship, there's still a part of you that shouldn't have to be altered or changed. When you find yourself losing yourself to make sure that other person is safe or accommodating, that's the beginning signs. If it's love, it encourages who you were already before you met them, not alters who you are currently for their benefit. So just keep that in mind. Always love yourself. And remember what you were doing before you met him or her. Because domestic violence has no bounds. It happens to men, LGBTQ, it doesn't matter. So just keep that in mind that you guys always remember that you're a safe place, that you are your first advocate, and don't ever let it right across those lines.
So good, thank you. So domestic violence, can you guys hear me? Is all about power and control. Power and control is all about power and control. Mine started subtly, where it was a name calling, and then, I'm so sorry. When you do this, it makes me a little crazy, and then that builds up, and over time it became physical, and then over time it became every single type that you could think of. So it's always about power and control. A lot of times we have to ask, what are the motivations behind this person wanting to see my phone? What is the motivation behind this person asking me, well, where were you? Who were you talking to? Who was that? What are you doing talking to them? What is the motivation behind that? It's not good. And love will never, ever hurt you. Ever hurt you. So if somebody's trying to have power and control over you, that is definitely not healthy.
All right, thank you so much. So we're going to go into our second question here, which is what assumptions or myths do people make about victims of domestic violence or dating abuse?
So I think a lot of assumptions I've heard as being an advocate and volunteering is, people must like it. These women must like it. They stay in it. They're putting up with it. If they didn't like it, they would leave. And that is a huge assumption. Another assumption is, what did she do to provoke it? That's a huge assumption. Nobody provokes ever being hurt.
For me, it's socioeconomic class. It doesn't matter who you are, what you accomplish. You can be a doctor, you can be a janitor, it goes across the board, doesn't matter. It can happen to anybody. Anyone, as I said earlier, male or female, can come with financial restrictions just to keep you controlled. So there's a lot of myths about it. And just to touch on what Albert said, people don't want to get hurt. It's something called Stockholm syndrome. So you end up having some type of bond with your abuser, and it's not healthy. You enter this repetitive cycle. And that's what makes domestic violence so hard and dangerous. But all these, once again, we are able to find resources. There's no shame in it. So I just wanted to let you guys know about that.
Oh, why don't she just get out? Well, she's the one that's allowing him to do it. There was sometimes there's no way out. Sometimes, like with me, I had 3 sons. He had financial control. He didn't want me to work. And I didn't realize, I thought that was cute. Oh, I'll take care of your family. But no, he didn't want me to work because he wanted to keep control of the finances so that I would not be able to leave. So why can't he get out? There weren't resources back when I was going through, like there are now. So it's hard to get out. We don't know the situation. At the non-housing, shelter, what are you going to do with your children? When I tried to go to the shelter, they wanted to separate because I had sons. Boys, the boys can't be in the shelter with females and other children.
Okay, so the question was, what assumptions or myths do people make about victims of dating abuse and domestic violence? So this is going to be a challenge for all of you. This is an activity for everybody. I want you to look around in the stands. I want you to look around and see who's sitting beside you, behind you, in front of you. Does anybody look like they should be a victim of dating abuse or domestic violence to you? You're pointing, he does look like that. That's a myth. Some people think that you have to look a certain way, or perhaps you have to be a certain ethnicity. Perhaps you have to live in a certain neighborhood. But the fact of the matter is, this is going to shock some of you. Some of you probably come from a very wealthy home. Some of you probably come from mid-income homes. Some of you may come from areas where there's not that much money or riches. But the reality is, no one is exempt from dating violence. No one. That's a big misassumption.
All right. Let's talk about gender roles. Do strict gender roles or strict gender expectations play into abusive relationships? Does anyone want to answer this one?
One question on the survey, Alex, that talked about trying to remember what this was, and somebody else. What was it? So, okay, all of you guys that are, and I'm just talking to the guys right now. How many of you, when it comes to dating and your role in a relationship, do you think it's okay to control where he or she goes or who they hang out with, or do they have to report? I think that's what it was. Some of you were saying that if they don't respond to you immediately, raise your hand if you said that. Raise your hand to all of you that thought that if they do not respond immediately, it's an issue. I think it was more than that. Okay. Okay, so you two are females. Did you want to expound on that? I would love to hear why you think that person has to respond to you immediately as a female.
Everybody listen up, because it might be your girlfriend. So I know that might seem a little crazy, but like, let me give you like the thoughts behind it. Some people think it's cute to wait 5, 10 minutes to respond when they've seen it and they're not doing it. I don't like that. It's not cute. Cut it out. But like, if you're doing something, I understand. Like, just like I
you have a good point though, because I have heard some people, when I've asked their opinions, some people have said, well, I like to keep them wanting, like keep them thirsty, so I don't respond right away because I want to say hi. So it's like, you have a point. Some people purposefully don't respond because they're trying to keep someone like, they're playing games basically.
So you're on practice, and he's blowing your phone up, and you can't answer it right away. How does that look like? Then that would no, but not.
So, next question. What is financial abuse?
I'm going to ask a question. What do you think financial abuse is? Anyone? That's a good term. What do you think? Go there? Dating someone for their money? Why do you say go there? Who said that? Would you like to explain? Somebody that's constantly No, I'm talking about, so financially is withholding the money, or you can prevent someone from going to work, or you can get them fired, or you can handle all the money and they don't know anything, and just give them a certain amount, and when it's gone, you don't give them any more, but it's just withholding the money, whether it's getting them to go to work or getting fired or whatever.
I'd just like to add to that. Remember earlier when I said that when I thought one of the vision was, not having money, you stop me from working? Well, we both had the bank card, but every time I spent cash, I had to make sure from all the receipts, everything. He wanted to know where the money was going, making sure the money was in the household, even though I was taking care of our children. That is financial withholding. And I believe part of that was to make sure that I was at his every that I didn't have nowhere to go, that I had nothing if I was to leave.
So I never experienced financial abuse because I think I dated people that were broke. But I did meet a victim some years ago who shared her story with me. And her story was that she worked, he didn't work, he drove her to work every single day in her car. How many of y'all saw Baby Boy? That just kind of flashed like Baby Boy. Okay. And when she got paid, guess what she had to do with her check? No, there wasn't no split. She had to give him her check, and then he gave her what he thought she deserved, what she was allotted. So that, would you say that was healthy or unhealthy? That's abusive, right? Okay.
Again, what is domestic violence? It is what? Power and control.
All right, last question, then we'll go to the audience for questions. Last question, why doesn't someone just leave? We heard some people saying, well, I will just block them or I'll break up with them. Why is it not that easy to do?
So a lot of times, when you're in a relationship, they will isolate you from your friends and your family, and so you don't have anywhere to go. And you're stuck in the most important part is your mindset. Your mind is telling you, nobody wants me, and then I'm ashamed. I feel guilty. I'm ashamed. I can't tell
don't know what to expect, what can trigger the abuse. And leaving is the worst time. That's where a lot of the murder-suicides happen. It's the most dangerous. So you have to plan your exit effectively. You have to find one person you can trust, map out that plan, don't say nothing to him or her, and plan out your exit. But it's more so psychological. It's something that things you can't see. The words he or she tells you, you stay stuck. But once you realize that that's who they are, you figure out how to get out, make a plan, and make sure you secure your safety and your life.
I agree. Shane, he used to tell me, well, nobody's going to want you with 3 boys. What are you going to do? I had nowhere to go. I didn't want to tell nobody. I didn't want to tell my family. I grew up with brothers and uncles. I didn't want the repercussion to fall back down on them in case anything happened, because they knew he did isolate me from my family. So a lot of it came from, well, what am I going to do? Where am I going to go?
So for me, the reason that I stayed in both of my relationships as long as I should have, number one, the first abuser was my husband at the time, and we had children together. So I didn't want to separate my children from a 2-parent household. The second abuser that I stayed with for 7 years after my first marriage was because I felt sorry for him. I thought something was wrong with him, which something was wrong with him, but I also thought that I could help him. So that's one of the reasons I stayed. But today I understand that there was absolutely nothing wrong with me. Sometimes we're empaths, you know what that is. Sometimes we just love people too hard, too much, and we just think that we can fix them. And I learned that I could not fix him.
All right, so we'll turn it over to you all. If you have any questions you'd like to ask the panel. Any questions? I said you can have a t-shirt if you ask a question. All right, there we go.
This is like a genuine question. What stops you from like calling the cops or calling someone that actually cares for you?
Good question.
Sometimes your abuser is a cop. So what do you do when the person that's beating you is a police officer, his fighter comes to the door, and you are black and blue, and all they gotta do is say, put word and they're off. It's scary. But you still have right. Go to another person that you're able to disclose what's happening to you. But it's scary because this person may have information or may have restricted ways that you're ashamed of. They know things about you. So you kind of just end up saying, let me just stick to it or keep it to myself. But there are always people willing to help you. It doesn't matter who your abuser is. You have rights. You're a human. Nobody should put their hands on you.
Sometimes you can't get to the phone. There was a question that was happening. Alex mentioned about the law now, because that was happening too many times to victims. They would withhold the phone. At the time, we had a house phone, and we literally ripped the wires out the walls so I could call the cops. And then when the cops did come multiple times from neighbors hearing, guess what? All he did was go to jail, come right back out. Pay a fine, come right back out. Get anger management, come right back out. There was no strong repercussions for him. So why keep calling the cops if he's going to come back out and beat me again?
That's fear of retaliation.
So there were several occasions where I was in abuse, and I wanted to call the police, but at the same time, then I didn't want him to get in trouble. I didn't want him to go to jail, and I also didn't want our kids to see him being handcuffed. Now in 2024, I wish I had called the cops.
retaliation, right? When the police leave, what's going to happen to be them? So it could be so many different things. So.
Great point. Y'all hear that? After the police leave, what's going to happen to me? Yeah. Good point. All right. We have one more T-shirt. Okay. Yeah.
What are some strategies to use to get away with somebody who's financially controlling you constantly?
All right. What strategies if someone is constantly financially controlled?
So a strategy, whenever you are wanting to leave, always have a strategy. Contact a trusted friend, and also contact the national hotline, and they will help you set up a plan, and they will help you execute that plan. So you are never, ever alone. And the hotline was on the screen. Okay, so call that hotline, and you know anyone that is going through this, give them a hotline number, and they will help them set up a plan that will keep them safe. I'm sorry.
That's what I did. I finally spoke up. Sometimes when you're abused, you have to want to get out. You have to say enough is enough, I'm tired. And when I spoke up, that's when everybody started coming forward. We knew something was going on. I told my aunt, I told my mom, I told my landlord, I told my job, I left it. That's when finances started coming, people started pouring into me, vacation and everything. And we made a plan when I was going to my mother's house. My mother took me and my sons and drove me 12 hours to my brother's house. And that's how I did it.
So, although that never happened to me, but what I would say as far as a strategy is that you have to start creating boundaries. That is one of the biggest things you would have to do. Start setting boundaries and also take control of your finances. Whether you know, if it's something that you want to help somebody with or you want to give them, then that's your option. If you don't, it's okay to say no. If it's somebody that's always borrowing from you, they never pay you back, or, you know, set boundaries. That's one of the strategies I would use.
And some employers will be understanding. I know, like Bank of America, they actually have programs. So if their employees are experiencing domestic violence, they will have time off. And like, there's some companies that will be understanding about that. So if you have an employer who is empathetic, that's a really big plus to help you do that. So I think we're out of time. So let's give the panelists.
Or safety planning cards, or more information about our presentation and what we do. There are some different cards around the table. Please take them. So they're up here, and we will them actually. So they're all right here. So definitely please come and take one of those. Thank you, guys.
Wait 1 second. We're going to take a quick picture, and then remember, you are all exiting this way by the training room and the weight room. We're going to bring in the returning student athletes through the other side so there's not a lot of congestion. So just really quick, let us get a picture, and we will let you go. Okay, returning student athletes, let's go. Sophomores, juniors, and seniors, super seniors. Come on into the gym. You are going to sit in the middle. All juniors, sophomores, seniors, super seniors, you're welcome to enter into the gym. We need to sit in the middle. We are not sitting on the corners. We are not sitting on the top row. We are pinching in the middle. Squeeze to the middle. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze to the middle. Welcome, welcome. We are squeezing to the middle. Sophomores, juniors, seniors, super seniors, super seniors, COVID seniors, all of the above seniors, senior citizens. Do not leave that big middle section open. Pretend to like each other for a minute. Remember, COVID doesn't exist anymore. Hats off. If you have a hat or a hood on, it's time to take it off. No hats, no hoods. He was going to say it, but I got the mic. Do as the athletic director says. No hats, no hoods. No hats, no hoods. Nobody's looking at your bedhead. Everybody pinch the middle. We are sitting in the middle. You guys can go ahead and get your cell phones out, scan that QR code. You are allowed to be on your cell phones for this part of the presentation. Go ahead and interact, scan that QR code. I hear there are t-shirts and other fun prizes for those who win and or participate. Fun prizes. Come on in, squeeze the middle, scan that QR code.
That's all, please.
Told you he was going to yell. Hats off, hoods off. Scan that QR code. All head coverings need to be removed. All head coverings. Hey, and if you don't see your coach, that's because they're probably up in the Falcon Club. So if you think they're not here and you're going to get out of this, you are sadly mistaken. Come have a seat, scan the QR code, and we'll get started in just a couple of minutes. All right, it is 5 o'clock, so we are going to go ahead and get started. For those of you who do not remember, I am Melanie Wilson. I'm your Assistant Athletic Director for Compliance and Senior Women's Administrator. You are here for two reasons today. You are here to listen and learn, and you are also here because every single one of you wants to participate in NCAA championships. And in order to participate in NCAA championships, this training is required. For those who do not attend, they will be pulled from the roster and unable to compete postseason. So please sit down, scan the QR code, interact, ask questions. You are here for an hour, and then you are dismissed. All of coaches and administrative staff are also going to be present, whether we are down here on the floor or up above your head in the Falcon Club. So unfortunately, there is no escape for the next hour. I'm going to turn it over to our wonderful teammates from Love Speaks Out, and they're going to kick you off for your next hour of sexual assault and violence training.
Hi everyone, so my name's Ivy. Does anyone remember us from last year?
Yes.
Yeah, alright, awesome. So then you met me last year, and you also met Alex, who is back behind us. So like last year, we're going to go over a few different things related to abuse. But this year's topics are going to be a little more in-depth, but it's also going to be a little bit shorter of a presentation before we open it up to our panelists to actually share their story, and then we're going to go directly to all of you to be able to have the time to ask them questions. So it will be a little different than last year, so it's not the exact same thing. But again, my name's Ivy, and this is Alex, and we'll go ahead and get started.
All right, so I'm very happy to see this. Y'all remember this question from last year. Guess what the freshmen voted for? Those freshmen voted for A. And we had, what percent? Do you think? There was 86 who said A, and 26 that said D. So I'm very happy to see this. Do you all still agree with this? Does anyone feel like when you've been dating that you feel like you're looking for a trusting relationship? Does anyone want to share if any reflections of the last year? Do you feel like trust is still important in relationships? You want to share?
Trust is important. You gotta have faith in your partner. It doesn't mean you can snoop for everything they do.
Alright, and we've got some hand sanitizer, lip balm, and pens if you want to breath. Does anyone else want to share their opinion about this one? Any other opinions about this one? Alright, the other question that we have, so you can go to the next question, but one of the Alright, a couple more opinions about this one.
I know it's not okay to go to work as long
I feel like if you're not secure enough in the relationship, you shouldn't be in it. So therefore, if you want to go through it, then you can ask why, but I'm not fighting.
Really good answer. If you are secure in your relationship, then yeah, you don't need to go through your partner's phone because you know they're not going to cheat. And then the other question, if they wanted to go through your phone, what would you do? Most of you saying I got nothing to hide, so I would give up my phone. I think, did you all read the answer to B here though? I would give them my phone, but I would want to know, like, why do you want to go through my phone? Do you all feel like that's a better answer, or are you sticking with A? Sticking with A? Anyone want to share about this one?
I feel like I would want to know why just because I'm a curious person, but at the same time, it's like I'm not hiding anything, so just go ahead and take it. But like, if I were to ask why, I love that for reasonable, like, response, like, it means to tell me.
they shouldn't get, you're saying, they shouldn't get mad at you for, you want to know, like, why do you want to look at my phone? Gotcha, yeah. All right, that's all I had over here. All right, what'd you vote for? So, usually when we do this presentation, most of the guys are like, yeah, I'm giving up my phone no matter what, because if I don't give up my phone, they're going to accuse me of cheating. But is that really fair?
No, I mean, like a college major, you should always trust your partner. You don't have to go through the phone. Have some trust.
It's okay. Alright, so let's move on. We gotta go through this. So we're gonna have 40 minutes for the panelists this time. So if you'll remember, anything that's extremely controlling, anything that's unreasonable, like if they're jealous for no reason, if they are accusing you of cheating, you haven't done any cheating, that's unreasonable. If they're constantly accusing you of things, they don't like you hanging out with their friends, constantly controlling. Alright?
Alright, so we did want to go over the types of abuse again. So hopefully you remember a lot of these from last year. But the first one is physical, so anything to do with physical violence, putting your hands on someone. There's verbal, name calling, putting people down. Emotional, which is where the gaslighting, manipulation, isolation comes in. And abuse can be abusive, even if there's no physical aspect. So if someone's emotionally abusing you, it's still abuse, even if there's no physical aspects. So just keep that in mind. And then sexual, which we will talk more about, but it's anything that has to do with sexual activities that you do not consent to. So this does mean rape, sexual assault, it can be pressuring you. Then we have financial, so this can be controlling the money, paying things like, well, if you leave me, then you won't have anywhere to live, you won't have any food money. It can be anything that makes you depend on them, or if they try to withhold money from you. And then digital, which is a lot of the stuff we talked about last year, and again, rapidly opens. This can be constantly messaging you when you ask them not to. It can be tracking your location and just showing up where you are and you're not replied. This could be it posting your photos online. Anything that has to do with technology can fall under that technology, the digital abuse. And then we're going to go over a few different topics today, including sexual abuse, some more about financial abuse, stalking, and then, so first is financial abuse. So a little more on financial abuse. This can be when one partner controls all the money, they make all financial decisions. As you start getting older, you start moving on campus. This is really when this can really start to take effect, especially for college students who, most of you, I'm assuming, don't have a ton of money. I know I did when I was in college. So financial abuse can be a really big deal. So it can also be using your possessions over you, saying, well, for example, you have the right to argue, I pay the rent. You have to do what I say or you don't have anywhere to live. This can be getting you fired from your job. Like, you don't need to work, I'll take care of you, and then you have no way to leave them because you have no financial needs. Or it can keep you from advancing your career. Like, oh, we need to focus on my career right now because I make more money, and never letting you advance or giving you the option. Because that would mean they have to relinquish some of that power because you would have a greater chance of leaving them if anything went wrong with you for money. And then sexual abuse and domestic violence. So this can be for lots of different reasons. This can be to punish them, to cause physical harm. This is for anyone that has ever experienced sexual abuse. And North Carolina was the last state to make it illegal to rape your spouse. So I don't know if anyone knew that, but in 1993, North Carolina made it illegal to rape your spouse. So until then, it was perfectly legal. Which, I don't know, but I have a problem with that. But that just goes to say, you can take away consent any time. You are not forced to continue with someone just because you give them consent or have done stuff with them in the past. And speaking of consent, I did want to take a second to go over what consent is. Consent is clear, it's enthusiastic, it's not like, sure, go ahead and get it over with. It is something you are wanting to do and you are actively enjoying. It's not something just to get it over with. So just because they don't say no does not mean they are allowed to continue. If they're pushing are drunk, you're asleep, if you cannot answer for any reason, it is still considered sexual abuse if they continue. And then, I'm trying to make sure I'm not missing anything. So if you say, I'm not sure, I don't know, or maybe, that is still not a yes, that is still not consent. So if you're like, I'm not sure I'm comfortable with this, and they continue, that is still considered rape. And then, make sure I'm not missing anything, Alex. Okay, good. Okay, awesome. Put on the next slide. So if you are ever sexually abused or raped, we do just want you to know what a rape kit is and what it looks like, because these are extremely important if you ever choose to press charges against that person. Now, if you go and get a rape kit, you do not have to use that rape kit to press charges immediately. The hospital or wherever you get it can't keep it on file until you are comfortable and ready to press those charges. So go in and get it done even if you're not ready to take action against that person. So you can take a picture of this and say this if you want, but this is what to expect if you ever do go to him.
It is recommended to go within 48 hours, to not just shower before a rape kit. You can call one of the hotlines on our cards here, and an advocate will go with you. It is an invasive process, so it can be traumatizing to go. So it's good to have an advocate there to warn you about different, how it can be traumatizing and someone to talk to. All right, we'll go to the next slide. We went over this. Okay, that says within 120 hours from when the rape or sexual assault occurred. All right, go to the next one. Stalking, unwanted behaviors. So a lot of people ask, if you break up with someone, is it against the law for them to keep contacting you? If you tell them, don't call me, don't text me, and they continue to call and text you, that is a misdemeanor of stalking, or harassment. So they can be charged with stalking or harassment if they show up somewhere and make you feel fearful or scared. That's also stalking or harassment. Okay. Different types of stalking: cyber, predator, fixation, rejected, resentful. So just different types of reasons for why someone might stalk. All right. Restraining orders. So even if actually everyone here is over 18, if someone is under 18, they can still get a restraining order, but you can get an emergency restraining order called an ex parte. This is when a judge will grant you an immediate 10-day restraining order. You do not have to see the other partner. So if you break up with someone, they make a threat towards you, or if they have a history of being controlling, you can actually save those text messages, and a judge will see that it's controlling behavior, and they can grant you an emergency restraining order. After 10 days, you both go to court, and then you argue for a 1-year restraining order. So then you just be aware you do have to see the person getting the restraining order against. So again, you can call the hotline that we have, and an advocate will actually go with you to court to help you out and tell you what to expect. And they can help you file for that restraining order. All right. Resources. So go to the next slide. So these are your local resources for Pfeiffer University. The Pfeiffer or Meisenheimer Police. You have Students Counseling Center, and Title IX Coordinator. So if you are a victim of sexual assault, dating violence, or any kind of discrimination or harassment, you can call the Title IX office. We didn't go over discrimination and harassment, but that is, if you're treated unfairly due to any race, religion, sexual identity, gender identity, any type of harassment or discrimination, you can call the Title IX office as well. And then this is the 24-hour hotline, or no, this is counseling, free counseling if you're going through an abusive relationship. This is in Charlotte. Okay, next slide. And then this is the 24-hour hotline. So again, there's nothing wrong with you if you feel like you need to call the hotline. It is not a bunch of people in suits answering the phones. These are actually volunteers in the community. A lot of them are survivors of domestic violence themselves that have volunteer to answer the phone. So they're going to listen to your story. They're not going to judge you. They're just going to listen and hear you out. And it's not any. They're volunteers also. So it's not like they're going to accuse you of anything or tell you why did you call, things like that. All right, next slide. So the last one is the national hotline. Anyone can call the national number as well. And what's good about this is you can text. So if some people don't want to call, you can actually just text your questions also. Okay, so we are going to go to the panelists. We'll have the panelists introduce themselves. After you introduce yourselves, then we'll go down and they're going to share their stories. We're going to ask some questions and then turn it over to you all to ask them questions. But as Ivy said, we wanted, because you had this presentation last year, we did want to do something different, so we're going to give them a chance to share more of their full stories of their experiences.
Hi, I'm Alvin Bailey, and I am a survivor as well as an advocate, and it's nice to be here.
Hi, hello everyone. Thank you for having me. My name is Marielle Chiarpino. I am an advocate for ED, and hopefully we can answer whatever questions you have or inspire you guys with our stories. Thank you for having me.
Hello, thank you for having me here. My name is Nicole Williams. I am a survivor of 23 years and a domestic violence advocate.
Hi guys, my name is Irish Benson. I am a survivor of domestic violence as well as an advocate. Thank you for having us here.
Okay, so we're going to give you 5 minutes each to just share your story. You can go into more depth than we did last time.
So, good afternoon, everybody. It's good to see you. Yes, good afternoon. Good to see you. So, my story began in 1998. I was 28 years old. I met a gentleman at a car lot. I was buying a car in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I met him. He was just being fresh, I guess, with me. And we met. We started dating, and within 3 months, I married him. So you can imagine within the first 3 months, I didn't know anything about this gentleman other than I thought he looked like Carlton from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Do I have any Fresh Prince of Bel-Air fans in here? Okay, so you know Carlton, all right. So he actually was short and he did resemble Carlton on the original Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But anyway, we married and then I became pregnant with his son, and we had our son, and within a few months after having his son, I met a total different person. He was not the nice gentleman. He was in a suit like my friend over here with his white dress shirt and tie. He was dressed really nice. Very, very respectful towards me, and after having my son and going through a little trauma with that pregnancy, he decided to have an extramarital affair. You know what that is, guys. He cheated on me. And so after me finding out about that relationship with the other woman is when he became abusive to me. I was 28 years old. I had never been abused. I didn't know what domestic violence was. It just didn't make sense to me. There were no resources for me. There was no one to sit and talk to me like we are sitting here talking to you guys. I had friends that thought it was normal. Friends said, hey, that's just how guys are. If you love him, you can work this out with him. And so I just had all kinds of advice, and I didn't know really what to do. So this abuse went on for, I was married 13 years. So this abuse went on for 12 years out of 13, guys. 13 years. And we're going to probably talk about different forms of domestic violence. And so I was physically abused, I was mentally abused, I was emotionally abused. I did not experience financial abuse, which is some things that may come up today. But regardless, all abuse is that it took me years to regain my confidence. I walked around with low self-esteem. I didn't think I was worthy. I didn't think that me having black eyes or busted lips, or I didn't think I was pretty enough, good enough. I didn't think anybody would be attracted to me because remember I said I lost low self-esteem. So all of it plays a factor in the mental and emotional aspects of that. So just as I thought I was getting out of that relationship, I ended up going into another relationship. I did end up divorcing him. And I met another person who was the same exact way, very charming, very nice. And once I started to get physically involved with him is when he started treating me really bad. He would go through my phone without my consent. He would go through my phone and see who I was texting, who I'd been talking to. And in some instances, he did call the number and play games with the people, like, how do you know her? Why is she calling you? And it caused conflict in those relationships. But with this relationship, and I really want you guys to hear what we're saying to you. This is why we're here. With this particular abuser, he gaslighted me so bad. He made me think that I was crazy. He would accuse me of doing things that I know I didn't do, but I questioned myself. I was like, well, did I do it? Well, maybe I did do it. And so he really had me messed up in the head. One of the other things that we didn't talk about with the other group, because we didn't kind of have this time, is that because my self-esteem was so low, I contemplated suicide on 3 occasions. I wanted to end my life. And at this point, I had 3 children, beautiful family, but I was so mentally messed up in my head that I just didn't want to live anymore. But I do thank God, and I'm not ashamed to say it, I do thank God that I'm here and being able to sit in front of you and tell my story. I think it's important to hear survivors' story, and each of us, our stories are going to be a little bit different, but the one commonality is we were abused. So abuse affects us in all different ways. Today I am an author. Today I am an advocate. All of my books are on Amazon. Y'all get my name, my books are on Amazon. I am an advocate. I'm also studying to become a counselor now. I mentor lots of people that are either in domestic violence relationships or they just exited domestic violence relationship. So I am just so grateful that I learned my lessons. It took me years. I was in abusive relationships for about 18 years. But finally the light bulb went off and I had to realize that the most important person to love the most was myself and my children. So I am grateful to be here, and that's just a little bit part of my story.
So my story. The only way to tell my story is my pain that I wrote on my paper. So imagine walking on eggshells and waiting and wondering if it cracked, would you hear the crack of that eggshell or the barrel of a gun? You can buy me time, you can buy me clothes, take me on a cruise around the world, but just don't hit your girl. He said, girl, I love you. I am going to make you my wife. I can't see myself being without you in my life. Fall into the trap of sugar becoming strong too fast, thinking that this newfound relationship was just destined to last. Charming, loving, captivating me with his smile, but not realizing his activities when he would keep me at the wild. You see, after the honeymoon was over, then jealousy stepped in. No matter how much I secluded myself, I just couldn't win. Claiming that his blood, sweat, and tears is what it took to raise our family, tears will be coming from me. Girl, I love you. I won't do it again. I didn't mean to be so mean as he took from me more and more each day as he tried to get in between. You see, by the time it was over, my body was loose inside me. I conditioned myself to the point it was senseless for me to shout. I learned to shout on the inside, screaming, God, please don't get me out. I kept hearing this drunken voice saying, girl, you just got to leave. But he kept feeding me with those same old lies, convincing me to leave. Girl, I love you. You are my wife. But if you ever leave me, I will take your life. You can buy me diamonds. You can buy me clothes. Take me on a cruise around the world. But just don't hit you, girl. He said, girl, I love you. I am going to make you my wife. I can't see myself here without you in my life. Thinking about my past, wanting to be the same as the last, but how would I know if I would give him a chance? Wow, he said he loved me, he didn't have to ask me to be his wife. If it was me, him, and a million men, I said yes to me in time. Two of a kind hearts intertwined, combined together to a spark which of war, even if I leave this earth before, I still have those dreams one piece more. He said, girl, I love you. Thank you for being my wife. I said, God, I love you. Thank you for saving my life. You can buy me diamonds. You can buy me clothes. Take me on a cruise around the world. But just don't hit your girl. You see, when I was sitting in my recliner listening to my sons upstairs playing, that tune kept playing in my head. I don't own the rights to that. Look, that was Alicia Keys' A Woman's Worth. But I didn't recognize what my true worth was. But I do know that my life on that day was saved. And that's why I stand here. That's why I talk about domestic violence every chance I get in hopes that another life will be saved. Because I've seen too many women fall into the grave. That is my story. Whatever it is that you need to do, you reach out to somebody. Because you never know what's going to make it through. He put that barrel, he pulled it out, and he told me, I'm going to kill him. And I closed my eyes and said, go ahead, shoot me, because I'm already dead. But I'm still here, 23 years later, with 3 grown sons, and we made it through.
I was in a domestic violence relationship for about 3 to 4 years. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know it was domestic violence. It started off as quicksand. They say you don't know when you're in it until you're in it. And by the time you recognize it, you're deep into it. Mine started with subtle things, the verbal abuse, the doubts. Why are you getting your hair done? Why are you trying to look nice? Are you cheating? It's the insecurities that are imposed and put on, and you start to feel kind of suffocated. Everywhere I went, what's are you getting back? When are you coming back? No relationship should make you feel like you're suffocating. A relationship should be built on trust. A relationship allows you the room for you to still be yourself, to go out with your girls, your friends, your homeboys. And most of all, it doesn't constitute physical, financial, verbal, or sexual abuse. I didn't know my worth because I allowed this person to beat me down verbally. And once they beat you down verbally, the physical abuse comes. Because you're already low. They already got you in a place of isolation. They've got you secluded away from your family, your friends. So now you feel like you don't have nobody else to go to. Mine was the shame. I was raised in a family of 3 girls, and I was always the toughest one. So how does Marielle end up in a relationship where she's allowing somebody to do this to her? It's never your fault, ever. No matter what is said to you, no matter how they make you feel, nobody has to tell you you're worthless. Nobody has the right to treat you like your property. Nobody. You are your first advocate. You are your first line of defense. You matter. Your body, everything else, you have possession power over. Nobody. Even if you're into a relationship, you always have a word to say. Nobody can take your voice, and nobody should take your voice from you. That's not love. My partner, he was diagnosed with schizophrenia. So I stayed because I felt like, oh, it's a mental illness. He's mentally ill, so I have a duty to stay by that. Whether the person's going through some type of mental illness, that's still not an excuse. Because how do you find mental illness if that mental illness is going to put you underground, 6 feet under? What voice will you have then if you're dead? You don't. Whether it's mental illness, whatever their issue is, like I stated, you always have the right to your body. You have the right to your own life. Nobody has control over that. I don't care their status. I don't care how big of a person they are, if they're a celebrity, or if they're part of a big old football team, or whatever, if they're the biggest athletic on campus. Nobody has the right to make you feel like dirt on the bottom of somebody's shoe. And typically, a lot of people come forward because the abuser in society is not who they are behind closed doors. So who's going to believe me that this person is treating me like this? So I had to learn to love myself and know that I'm worth living. Not one word that he or she, because the abuser can be female. The abuser can be a straight. Hey, it doesn't matter. Domestic violence knows no bounds, no gender roles, nothing. Does not care. So the minute you learn to choose yourself and to set those boundaries and boundaries, there's no looking back. But you have to set them. And you have to set them early. He would ask to go through my phone. I thought it was just love. No. You can say no to a relationship. Once again, relationship is supposed to have trust. If it has no trust, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how nice he is or she is. It's pointless. The next thing you'll start to realize is, after the physical abuse, it was the cards, it was the teddy bear, it was the flowers. I'm sorry, I'll never do it again. It's a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde type of personality, all in one type of switch. But who they are, after that sweet person that you made at the beginning, the first 3 months, 6 months, that person's gone. That was a facade, that was a mask. That's who they are. The minute you realize to accept them for who they are, run. You can't change that. It's not your job to navigate somebody's emotions. It's not your job to fix somebody or tell them that they're not supposed to put your hands on them. Or force you to have sex. Even in a relationship, boyfriend, girlfriend, I don't care, you still have a right to say no. No matter what their status is, you have control over your body. And you guys will probably go through many presentations today, but if you can just take away one thing today, it's just know that you always have the ability to take your power back, no matter what.
Okay, thank you. So, my abuse started with my high school sweetheart. He was fine as all get out. That's what I really fell in love with. I fell in love with him. I don't think he really knew how to love. And it started out very subtly. It started out with him saying little things. volunteered as an advocate. I went to the hospital. We were going to the hospital. We had gone through all this extensive training to go in and do an assessment and place the victim. And all the victims were women. And when I got there, my very first victim was a guy. He had been stabbed by his girlfriend simply because he wouldn't argue, so it happened. Not just as women, but men also. So I was conditioned, and I stayed in that situation for a long time, thinking that I was not worthy. I could not do anything. Nobody would ever want me. And I survived. Like she said, God got me through it. Somebody was praying for me and got me out of that situation. When I got out of this situation, there was a long healing process. And I'm going to tell you, the healing is a lifelong journey. And you have to fight those little demons in your head every single day to tell you that you're not worthy. So if you are in a relationship with somebody that's demeaning you or belittling you or telling you what you are not, that is not a healthy relationship. It is not a healthy relationship. If you are in a relationship and they're putting their hands on you to control you, that is not a healthy relationship because love does not hurt and it never ever will.
All right, so we're going to open up to some questions from you all. Anything that you want to ask them, they're not going to judge you for your question. So there's no stupid questions. The first 4 people to ask a question get a t-shirt. Just to, so if you would like to raise your hand or come on down to ask your question. That's the link.
So, what exactly did you do every day to overcome it? Did you take it one day at a time, or like something like did you involve friends, family, or perhaps even yourself to get through every day till eventually you got out of that war and introduced a relationship? What did you personally do to overcome your struggle?
All right, Nicole.
Well, after I got out and relocated and started my life over, of course, as you can see, I write poetry. So that was my journey. I didn't want to go to a therapist, even though now I advise a lot of survivors to go and to talk it out, support groups. But writing it out on paper helped me a lot. Discussing it with my son, because I started seeing the anger, especially going in my son. So all of the communication, all the writing, all the praying, I prayed hard to God. There was nothing by the grace of God that I got out. Nothing. And I trusted God. I started going back to church. Then I found people around me who started to support me, the community, the pastors, the teachers, to help me raise my sons. Those were our growing, those were our hopes in overcoming. And as I was overcoming, the more I shared my story, it felt like layers coming off. It felt like healing. And the more I was sharing, and the more somebody else, I remember a woman, after I shared that poem, I did it in the public library up north, and a woman walked up to me with 3 little children, reminded me of myself. And she said, "Do you have that on paper?" And I was like, "No." And she said, "That's my story. How did you know?" So the more I knew that there were other people's lives to be saved, the more it helped me heal to heal somebody else.
Actually, this is a great question. The thing about abusers is that she talked about walking on eggshells. Is that this group? Okay. So literally when you are in an abusive relationship, and I'll talk about me, I walked on eggshells every day, meaning I tried not to crack that egg because my abuser may have been having a good day, he may have been having a bad day. When he was having a good day, I was having a good day. He was having a bad day, I was going to have a bad day. So for me, it was trying to stay on that crate and not crack that eggshell. Also, I love how she talked about what is so important. I had a support group. It was my mother. I had a best friend that I called like every single day, giving her updates of what was going on. And I think that's if you know someone that's in an abusive relationship and you're close to them, stay connected to them because that's what kept me at bay. Also thinking about my children, but I did talk about I had contemplated suicide. At that point, I wasn't thinking about anybody. I was just wanting to end it all. But that support group, my mother, and people that did not judge me is what kept me going. And I knew that eventually I would come out.
So with me, I stayed in the situation. I knew I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. And then my son died. My son drowned. And my husband went straight to drugs and alcohol, and the abuse was just horrible. So I had to get myself and the rest of my children out of that situation. And like she said, your support group, when you walk over that threshold of freedom, you would be so amazed at all the people that are there to help you. And then when you get yourself around winners, people that's got something that will support you and encourage you and can help you grow. And I started going and developing myself because I didn't know anything about developing myself. I went to work and I could do everything at work, but it wasn't helping me grow personally. So I started developing myself personally. And I figured out, you know what? I love sharing. Once I started volunteering and sharing my story, and so then I too am an author, writing a book, sharing my story, telling about freedom, what it is to be free. And so now I am a transformational strategist to help women, survivors, to become advocates like me, so that they can own their voice and take their power back and know that they're worthy.
Next question. We got 3 more questions, 3 more t-shirts. Anybody? Okay.
Hi, thank you. My question is like, how long did it take you to leave? I was in a very abusive relationship from my senior year in high school to my sophomore year in college, and it just took so long for me to be like, okay, like I'm done, and like you're like, no, let's stay, like I'm gonna change. How long did it take you to just walk away? Like.
That's a very good question, because that is basically the meat of domestic violence, the longevity and duration of the abuse. And like I said, it's like quicksand. Quicksand, the more you sink in, and the deeper you get, it's like sticky, you can't get out of it. But you find your tribe, you find resources, and you need to know your exit strategy. Find a plan. That's the first step. You need to just journal or go to your nearest library or whatever, find resources, Google, find someone that you can confide in. This is what I'm going through. Because how domestic violence gets successful is when you keep it silent. Silent but deadly. That's exactly where it'll end up. So the more you stay, the harder it is to leave, because you end up in this mentality that you actually start to have remorse for your abuse or Stockholm syndrome. So you find somebody you can trust, even if it's one person. You and them meet once a day, use code words, find something, but find a plan. Then you make another plan, step by step, until you have a full layout of how to get out. And you find that strategy, you stick to it, you commit to it, and you make sure you find your tribe. Because the minute you isolate yourself, think it's just you think that nobody else can help you, and that's a lie. That's exactly where they want you. You're not the only one. Find a community resources. There's plenty of resources. The hotline, you have card care. There's plenty of people who care and who've been through what you've been through. But there's also too many women who did make it and they're on the ground now because they didn't want to reach out. So there's always a way out. To be honest, it took me way too long. It took me 4 years to leave. I packed my bags, and my final straw was when he beat his mother. That's why I said, okay, if you can beat her, I'm nothing. You can beat me. I I put my bags, no plan. I just packed my car and I left New York and I moved to North Carolina. And I've been away ever since. But it should even take 3 years. The minute you see that person put their hands on you, pull out your knee, anything that's outside of your value or who you are, that's not the one for you, love. Remember that.
It took me 12 years to leave. And my mind was so messed up. I was the only one paying any bills in the house. But my mind told me, you can't make it because you can't afford to leave. But I was supporting everyone. So it's just that mental thing. And it's also, it can be a cycle. It runs in cycles. The abuser, they're manipulative, and they know how to bring you back in. I'm so sorry, it would never happen again. I love you. Yeah, so they are very manipulative. But I'm going to say this. You have a voice, and you're beautiful. Use your voice. Let somebody know what's going on with you, someone that you can trust, and use your voice.
After 2 weeks of our marriage, he busted my left eardrum. 5 years later, 3 surgeries, a premature son of 5.5 months after kicking me in my stomach, I finally said one time. The first time, after the 2 weeks, I was shocked. Again, saying, he said, oh, I'm sorry, went through the honeymoon stage. And I stayed 5 more years until I had it done.
So for me, with my first abuser, we kind of made a decision to go our separate ways, so it wasn't hard. But with my second abuser, something we didn't talk about was the statistics show that it takes a victim at least 7 times to leave her abuser. Well, I was with my abuser for a total of 7 years, the second abuser. So for me to leave, it was a little bit different from these ladies. I had tolerated him abusing me for 7 years. And one day, I never fought or hit him back, but this last time I kind of snapped. So he hit me and I ended up hitting him back, but I hit him to the point that he had to go and get stitches. And so that was a wake-up call for me. And the fact that I had to watch him, because nobody would take him to the hospital, so I had to take him. But the fact that I had to watch that was something I knew that I didn't want to do again, and I knew that it could go to the next level. And that's something else that we didn't talk about with the first group, but I just told you it takes a victim at least 7 times to leave her or his abuser, his or her abuser. But we also didn't share with you guys that this is happening every 9 seconds in the United States of America. Every 9 seconds, someone is being abused. Also, every single day in the United States, 3 people will lose their lives by the hands of an abuser. So when you hear our stories and we're saying we're so grateful to be here, we could have been one of those victims that would not be sitting here today. Had I stayed with the gentleman I was with for 7 years, I would have either been in prison or in the grave. So I had to make a decision that I was tired. I didn't want to do this anymore. I'm now 53 years old. Y'all better clap. Because I know I don't look 53 with 3 children. But if I had not made that conscious decision that I wanted to live and I wanted a better life for myself, I would not be sitting here.
Okay, we only have time for 2 questions to maybe one of the panelists. If you want to ask a specific question to one of the panelists, we only have 5 minutes left. Any more questions? Okay, yes. Do you have a specific panelist anyone ask or all?
So like when y'all finally did leave,
So did you, after you left, did you receive backlash like, oh, why'd you leave? Or like or any not so much friends that were.
So I think some people are very ignorant and they're not aware and they'll go, well, why did you stay? You know, so it's almost like they're guilting me. Why? I would never put up with that. You know, and so, but for the most part, no, everyone was so happy. And the people that I had trying to keep it from, they knew. My kids were telling me. So they already knew what I was going through. But yeah, there are some people that's just not aware. So I'm going to say, if you know somebody that's going through it, please don't guilt trip them. Try to understand. And if you can't say anything nice, just nod your head and listen.
Yeah.
I just want to say one thing real quick. She made a point. Our children are watching. My sons were young and babies. It took me to leave for them to tell everybody they could all the stories, even with the strangulation that developed around my neck. So everyone was sympathetic. No one criticized me once I left. They were just happy that I was out of the situation. But I also found out that a lot of people suspected, they just didn't want to say it. So speak up.
All right. Last question, last t-shirt. Yeah. Oh, you got something? You want to say something?
I wanted to ask you a question.
Okay.
Yeah. What stood out? What did you resonate with you guys today, or anything stand out?
Yeah, so we'll take the question first, and then she wants to know what resonated with you today. If you want to give Alba some feedback. But, all right.
So my question for you was, how did you help your children cope with situations?
Well, I had boys. I'll say it again, I had sons. So I took them out. That's actually what really made me leave. Because I didn't want young men to see this is the way we treat a woman. So once I did get out of the situation, first of all, we moved 12 hours away with my brother, God rest his soul, in a one-bedroom apartment. He was their uncle. My boys played sports, boxing, basketball, football, tennis. We didn't have much of child support, but they had everything. Took acting classes. The pastor was their biggest mentor. He helped me out. So what helped our children to get over the trauma, and even though one of my sons still had to go through so much because it really hurt him more than the rest, because he was angry because of seeing this man beat me like that. He was helpless. I didn't know this until at a age. But keeping them around male mentors, male role models who are positive in the community, that helped a whole lot. Keeping them in sports, that helped a whole lot. Because it allowed them, especially with the boxing, when my son was boxing, it helped him get his anger out through boxing. As his coach taught him, his hands were the best weapon once you start teaching boxing. But it helped him get whatever aggression that was in him out. So that's how we were able to cope.
So we do have free counseling at our office. So the office where I really work, we have children's counselors, and it is free counseling to anyone that has witnessed domestic violence. And so we definitely recommend that all children that witness domestic violence do get counseling as well. So we are out of time, but I would like, Alba said that if you have something today that resonated with you, please come talk to them in Alba after the share what resonated with you today. I'll be.
And then, lastly, as you're getting out to head out, we do have resource cards with different resources. If you need support, we also have safety planning cards if you need any help with safety planning. And there's also a few other goodies over there, so please grab a card and a goodie. Make sure you get one of those cards. All right,
Everybody, before we leave, we're going to take a quick picture, okay? So we need you guys to scoot a little bit closer. The survivors are going to join you. And once that picture is taken, you are free to go. Thank you for your attention, listening today. All right, we're looking at data center court in 3, 2, 1.